Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we've got a really exciting Facebook Live to bring to you, and today we're going to be working on the Into the Wild collection from Imagination Crafts, which is really exciting because it's just launched now on Create and Craft. So we're going to bring you some really exciting new projects, and I can't wait to get started.
Yes, I can't wait. We've got lots of new products coming up. We've got textile crackle paste.
Yes.
I'm not sure what you're working on, so
No.
we don't know what each of those projects are going to be, which is something really exciting. So for those who haven't seen our faces before, I'm Elizabeth and this is David. We work for Imagination Crafts and we work up the Innovation Hub in Chesterfield. We've worked here for about a year now.
Yeah, about just over a year. I think it's gone really fast, and we've learned so much.
Blown by, which is quite scary. But
yeah.
So we're going to get straight into it. Lots of new crafting techniques, so I really hope you enjoy.
Yes, so we've got rise papers, stencils.
Yes.
We've got some they're all new designs, stuff you've not seen before. So it's really exciting to actually get to work with new products and create new items.
Yes. So I'm going to jump straight in with the textile crackle, I think.
Brilliant. I think I'm going to do a wood graining effect, so I'm going to get started with this.
Right. So the first step of the textile crackle is we've got it's like a creamy sort of texture, you can see inside there. So it's like a creamy sort of icing sugar texture, I'd say. So all you do is pop that down. I've already prepped this, so I'll just show you on this paper plate what the texture of it's like. So it's like a thick, creamy, like I say, icing sugar paste. So you can see it's got a little bit of a shine to it, which will dull down when it starts to dry. So on the canvas, I've put a generous amount. So you can just see it on there.
So you don't even have to use that much, do you? Really?
Not really,
It's
not
so
with
good with the
base coat.
products. Yeah.
I'd say don't be too shy with applying it, but don't apply loads because the thicker you apply it, the more it's going to take longer to dry. So the brilliant thing about this crackle paste is you don't have to let it dry naturally if you don't want to. You can use the hairdryer to dry it, which I think is something really cool about crackle paste, because I'm really impatient when I get to the crackle paste and I like to see it happen before my eyes. I think it's something really cool and exciting, and I'm just like so eager to see it.
Yeah, definitely. No one likes to wait ages for things to dry to give the effect, so it's really fun when you can do it straight away.
So this crackle paste does come in a variety of colours. So you can either use a sponge or a brush to apply this, but I'm going to be using a palette knife today. So again, it's got the same consistency and texture as the step one. So all I'm going to do is take out a good amount and then go this way. Ooh, there we go. And we're going to pop it on there like that. And with this one, you can go over the paste. So if you think, oh, I've not quite put enough on there, reapply it and go over it. Like so.
It's such a thick pigment as well, isn't it? It looks so nice. You've got an instant coverage there, and then you're just waiting for the reveal of what you're going to get through the crackle paste, which is just mesmerising. I absolutely love seeing it.
I love waiting for it and hair drying it, and I just find it so mesmerising. So with this coat, the more you apply, the thicker the crackle will be. But if it's thinner, the thinner the crackle will be. So it's more of
so you could get like a wider crackle, so you could get really fine ones if you're doing like a small item, or if you're doing a really big surface, you might want to get really big cracks going through there for a really nice big.
So it depends on what sort of project you're working on, which I think is really cool.
That's brilliant.
So it's sort of like a technique that you haven't got control of, but
it's really achievable. Yeah.
So I'm going to dry the crackle so you can actually see it happening before your eyes, and then I've got a dry one so you can see when it's fully completely dry and how much it does change. So this is going to take a minute.
And slowly start to see it happen.
It's amazing.
I could just imagine this on like handbags, on fabric. Obviously on fabric you can do it on all those different surfaces.
Yeah, it's going to look like a fake crocodile.
I know, yeah. It's like a designer, which is amazing. You can do that yourself without having to pay all those designer top-end prices, which is great.
And this crackle paste still does work onto paper, canvases, It is designed to mainly go onto fabric, but all different surfaces it does go on. So you can see
Oh, it's
in the
starting to
thinner
happen.
areas, yeah, no, it's already started to happen. So in the thinner areas, it's already started to dry, and then the crackle will start to go through as it's drying on the thicker areas as well. How cool is that?
That's amazing. Straight away as well.
Yeah.
That is very impressive.
Right, so I'm going to leave that to dry. I'll come back to that a little bit later on so you can see how much it is actually developed through the time.
Yeah, because then you could put it on and then carry on crafting with something else.
Yes.
You could do whatever else you wanted to, come back to it, and it's all done.
Yeah.
So it's depending on what you're working with. Yeah.
And then I'm like, come back to it. And I'm like, oh, goodness.
So what I've started doing is I've got some Cadence Distress Paste. So I've taken this and mixed it about 2 to 3 with my Cadence Extender, just to water it down to give it a bit more fluidity, and it's going to give me a longer working time with this product. I'm taking some Cadence Cut and Use, and what I'm actually going to do is get my canvas, and I've got just a almost slightly smaller than A4 canvas here, so it's not very big, but it's a really nice size to work with. And I'm going to take some of my Cadence Extender and Distress Paste and just go straight over it like this. And you might be thinking, what is he creating here? He's just completely gone straight in. There's brush strokes everywhere. I can't see what's going to happen. And what we're actually going to create is a really nice wood grain effect, which goes with our Into the Wild collection, which is all natural jungle elements. So it's amazing, isn't it? It looks so nice. So taking my Cadence wood grainer. Now this is, it's probably about 3 inches long, so it's a decent sized tool. You can fit it in your craft carry case absolutely everywhere. Take it around with you, and it's just the effect it creates, you wouldn't think from a tool this big. So I'm going to take it from the top and I'm going to drag it straight down my canvas. Oops. There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
There we are. Look how amazing that looks. And you can keep on going with it to get the desired effect. And if you wanted to, you could then get some more paste, fill in areas you might want to add a bit more texture to. So I'm going to take it again here, go straight back in, and you can overlap it. So it's a really easy tool to work with. And then you can see there, I've instantly got a wooden effect on my canvas. How amazing is that? So it dries really quickly, but I'm just going to speed this off drying. Let's see what Elizabeth's got up to.
So this is going to look like a bit of a mess right now, but I promise with the process it will look better. So this is the copper paste completely dry. So this is the one that I've prepped earlier. So all I've done is I've dry brushed a hybrid acrylic. Let me just double check what colour that is. It's New Mocha, this one, so it's like a really nice soft pastel beigey pink colour. So all I'm going to do is take in a stipple brush. I'm going to put a little bit of paint onto my brush and then take it off, so I don't want such an intense pigment on there. So I'm going to start from the edge and work it in, and then as we get towards the crackle, we're just going to stipple it off and really blend it in. Now don't worry if the harsh edge is not quite to your taste, because we're going to put stencils around there, we're going to dry brush it in with waxes, so there's no need to worry if the contrast is going to be a bit too much for you at this stage. So all we're going to do is pounce the brush and then a little less pressure as we get in. So as you can see, we've got that lovely soft blend happening already. And then continue on with that. So what's your next step, David?
So what I'm doing now is I've got some lovely Cadence decoupage glue. I absolutely love using this. And you can use this for multi-surface. So you can use this on wood, you can use it on paper, use it on concrete, you can use it on so many different surfaces that you'd work with in craft. And it really is, it's quite watery consistency, but it goes really far. And we do them in 2 different styles. So Cadence do it in a fabric decoupage or a decoupage plus. And the decoupage plus is the one I'm choosing to use today. So it's going to adhere really well to this MDF surface that I've got. And I've painted this first just with my white acrylic, giving it a base coat. And you always want to make sure that when you're painting and putting rice papers together, you give them a base coat, because it gives you the pop of colour in your rice paper. So if I take this rice paper here from the Into the Wild collection and put a black piece of card behind it, it dulls it down a little bit, but as soon as I then put a white one in, you can see there we've got a really nice bright rice paper. So it really does make a difference when you're choosing what surface to apply your rice papers to. So I've got here a paper, and I'm just going to take a paintbrush and start to apply my decoupage glue. Now you can do this with a sponge, you can do this with whatever tool you prefer, but I find a brush is the quickest and the easiest way to apply this product. And also, it doesn't store so much product in the tool that you're using, so you're getting the most out of it each time. So really easy, quick coverage. And then I'm not even going to dip my brush back in my product, I'm just going to leave it to the side just for a second.
I think that's one of my favourite rice papers, that one.
It is really nice, and the cute little koala that sits just in there. I'm going to try and work quite smart here because I want the koala in the middle, which means I only have to cut 2 areas. And I'm going to smooth it straight down, just like this. And it's instantly adhered to it. And the leftover product that I had in my brush, I'm now just going to take to the MDF rice paper and seal it in so it's all locked in place. And I'm going to take a tiny little bit more. You really don't need much at all because it will absorb straight through into that rice paper, giving it the adhesion that you want. Here we are, so I'm going to let that dry for just a couple of seconds.
Yes, I'm ready for my next step. So that is the finished product when we've gone all the way round. Then I'm going to be taking the Imagination Crafts Into the Wild stencil. Now, this has been pre-loved. It's a little bit dirty.
It's been well used. You know,
Yes.
The thing is that just shows the test of time though. You can use them over and over again. Obviously with your cleaning, some inks, some paints do stain, so they do last.
And as you can see, I had two favourite leaves on there that I really did like, and I'm going to be using them today. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking the Cadence Stencil Spray. So the Cadence Stencil Spray is a brilliant spray. It's a light tack that is repositionable. It does wash off, so it just gives you that temporary adhesion onto any surfaces. So all I'm going to do is I want to create like a little haloed border around it. So I'm going to be taking the Cadence Hybrid Acrylic in Clover Green and taking a little bit out. Take it from here. There we go.
I think I might steal that paint.
I just dripped it a little bit down the side.
Oh, brilliant.
Just be careful just to avoid any accidents. And then again, so I'm going to dip into the main section where I've just put my paint down, taking off the excess, and then I'm going to buff the leaves into the stencil.
See, do you prefer to then always buff it stencils, or would you dabble it or like sort of pounce it on?
It sort of depends on the technique I'm wanting.
Yeah, I never really know what works best. I mean, sometimes I use different tools and you get different effects, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to sort of buff it in quite a
Yeah.
lot, but if I'm wanting sort of like a stencil with more definition and more texture and tones, then I will
Yeah.
dabble it on. That's it. And then, as I'm getting towards the black area, like we did with the previous colour paint, I'm just going to softly blend it in, so hardly any pressure on the brush there, just so I've got a nice ombre look. So then when I take the stencil off,
Oh wow,
how lovely is that?
that's
colour
so
against
nice
the
to
green?
see. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
I
They
love
go, the colours go together so nice.
And
It's
I think
really
it's all
pretty.
just going to work. Hopefully it works. I've got an idea in my head of what I want it to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and carry on and pop all them leaves around the border so it creates like a little foresty scene. What's your next step, David?
Right, so I think I'm doing something a little bit similar to you. I'm going to do some stenciling. I'm going to see where I can position my stencils, but first I'm just going to give this a quick blast with my heat gun, just a couple of seconds, just to make sure it's all touch dry before I put stencils on there, because I don't want to fetch any previous product off. Here we are. So it's really quick drying, but this will just speed up the process for us, and then I can get straight on.
You even find sometimes, depending on how thick you put the distress paste down, it doesn't even need.
Exactly, yeah, it is such an easy product to work with. So I've got all my stencils here out in front of me, and I'm just looking through them thinking, which ones do I want to put on here? And I think I'm going to go with the tree, as you have used the leaves, haven't you? So I'm going to take my stencil spray. And you always want to spray this off the surface that you're working on, just so you don't get any tack there. It's always best to do it over a bin or a tray or some paper like I've got on the floor. And I'm going to place it straight down onto my project that I'm working with. I just stole your stencil spray. I've got one over here and I've just taken yours.
Oh, I'll let you, don't worry. I'll let you off.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. So I'm going to take a stipple brush, just like Elizabeth did, and you can see here, if I hold this to you, you can see I've got some elements of my stencil that are quite close to where I'm wanting to stipple to. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my Imagination Mixed Media tape and just mask that off there because I don't want to get any extra bleed going into my project. And depending on what sort of surface or look that you're after, you might want to. It'll give you a bit more of a textural finish. But I'm going to start with the green, and in fact I'm going to get a little bit of brown ready just out on my plate.
We're coming together, I'm getting excited.
You're getting excited about it now.
Got that.
So I've got the warm brown. So I'm going to go straight in with my green, and I'm going straight into the trees. So just like you did actually, I'm going to blend it out and then stipple it a little bit because I want to try and get a sort of tree texture going on. That's those bits done. And then I'm going to slowly, using the same brush, I've not changed the brush for my product, I'm actually going to go straight into the brown and start to work that into it. So they hopefully will seamlessly blend in together. Take a little bit of green again, just in this area here.
I think you've been looking at my projects, haven't you? Using that tree
Might have been taking a bit of inspiration.
You're looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. So the colours that are picked for this collection, they all do mix together really well, and it's always a well thought out process of knowing what colours are going to complement the papers and what they're going to work through your stencils to create those sort of projects that you want to do with it.
Yeah, so they all marry together. I think one of the main points when we're creating the collections, it's to make sure the colours marry together. I like
Exactly.
the green and the browns all work together. Lovely with the rice papers.
So that's just a really easy step to create, and all I've done there is use 2 paints, blended it through, and we've got a really nice crisp finish as well. And it's all about really using the stencils and having a play with them, seeing what you can create.
So this is the finished piece so far. So I carried on applying the stencils the whole way around, but now I'm thinking it looks a little bit bare, so I want to add a little bit of depth and texture in there just so the eye's not drawn straight to this because this is really black on the page. So what we need to do is we need to balance that out. So from the centre I want you to be able to see the corners just here, and then I'm just going to dry brush that through just so it's all blended, so we've not just got a heavy circle of crackle in the middle. So what I'm going to be using today is the same technique that David did with the wood grainer. This is the distress paste, so not only can you wood grain with this, you can actually distress all your furniture, any of your canvas projects. You can edge it and buff it into the centre. It's a really good product. It's a good technique to use. I think it's one of my go-to products.
Yeah, we do get... The thing is though, saying that, how much we use it, it lasts so long because you need such a small amount, a pea-sized amount, if that, will cover a canvas so easily just by knocking the edges and giving you a little brown shaded edge. Yeah. It's really easy to do.
A lovely product. I like it in the black one as well.
Yeah, it's much darker.
This product actually, but the black one's really cool.
Yeah, the black sort and the maroon brown are lovely.
So then all I'm going to do is again starting from the edge, buff it, and then taking off the pressure as I get into the centre, which I think is a really cool technique just to sort of bring it in, age it a bit, and just add that overall look and feel to the piece.
Oh, lovely. So I think what I'm going to do is go a little bit more with my stencils. So I've chosen this one here, and we've got some really nice elements in this one. And we've got some tribal elements, we've got some shapes, we've got tribal patterns going through them, of course the lovely leaves. But think of all these designs which you can mask off individually, and you can get all of these to actually create different projects because you've got all those little bits that you can divide off, cut away. And once you've stenciled through them, it doesn't necessarily have to be two-dimensional. You can layer them up, or if you're paper crafting as well, these would be perfect for cards. And you could even interpret these as baubles if you wanted to. If you think of putting your Christmas colours through there with your glitters, you could save these for the end of the year.
Such a good idea.
Yeah. So when I first looked at these, I thought, oh, I love the patterns. Then I instantly thought, Christmas, why not? You can use it for those. There's no reason why not. And you can take these, interpret them as holly, anything like that. So I'm going to take this branch at the top because I really like the look of that as it's sort of coming down. Again with my spray. And only a small amount, I'm just going to pop it there in the top corner of my canvas, just so you can see it, just creeping in. And I think that's going to look really nice going down into the corner. So I'm taking the same stipple brush again, and I'm going into my clover green, and instantly starting to tap it in. And I've not masked off these areas because I think as I'm tapping it like this, I'll be able to manage without getting it into those bits because they're not quite as close. And with my brown, just going into the branches. They tone together so well, these colours. Here we are. So as I take this off and show you just the effect that we will get easily, we've got a lovely little branch coming through. So I love seeing the effect. When you take a stencil away from what you've worked on, you sort of forget what it's going to look like, and then when you've blended those colours through, it's quite a proud moment.
I think sometimes when you're putting the colours down, you think, oh no, I've messed it up.
Yeah, how's this going to look?
Yeah, the crispness and that clear stencil when you take it off and you've got all that depth and dimension in with the stippling technique.
Yeah.
It is really cool. I still sort of get excited on it. I've done that many stencils now.
Yeah. How's yours coming along?
It's looking good. I think I'm getting happy with it now. So all I've done is I've buffed in the edges with the brown, and I added a little bit of black. I wasn't going to, but then I thought,
Oh, I love that. That looks really nice.
Yeah. So it's until a little bit more modern and contemporary, but I'm going to add some of the stencils to it now, really get that into the wild theme sort of going on with the trees, and I'm going to add some scripts as well in there. So the next step is I'm going to take some white structure paste with the stencil with the tree on it.
Oh, I'm excited to see this structure paste, bit of texture coming in.
Yes. We got the stencil. Yeah, got 2 stencils for it.
Sorry, I've taken both of them. I've actually been hogging most of the materials on my side. It's just slowly drifted this way. I'll give you some back.
Thank you.
We go.
So all I'm going to do is I know that I'm going to be popping a tree here. So I'm just going to be popping this slightly off centre because again I want it to balance. So placing the stencil down. So I'm going to be taking the white structure paste. So the white structure paste has a marble grain texture to it, which when it's heated up with a heat gun, you can either puff it up or heat it with a hairdryer and still get that lovely grainy, flat texture. You like to heat it up quite a lot, don't you? But
I do, yes.
tend to leave it quite flat.
Even if you're putting it through a stencil with a palette knife, or even if you're using a paintbrush to apply it, whichever way you want to do it, applying with a heat gun when it gets hot enough, you start to see it puffing up. It's almost like popcorn, and the little bits of it pop up. And as soon as it starts to raise, take the heat away from it because that's when you know it's done. And you can feel it running your hands over it. It gives you so much dimension. And if you have done it through a stencil, when it's dry, if you put your stencil back over it, that's when you can then add your colour into it, and you've got a 3D.
Into it, it just picks up all that lovely marble green, and you get that texture on there.
It's almost therapeutic here, and it drags through the stencil with all those little bits of grainy marble dust.
There we go. Gonna put the lid back on, try and keep clean. It's not gonna happen, but we'll try. And then I'm just gonna reveal the stencil.
Oh, that looks nice.
It's nice, isn't it? And that's against the black on there. We're getting that lovely contrast against the black and the white. So it's now time for the tree, but what's your next step?
My next step, right, so I have got my MDF square, which I prepped earlier and showed you putting down with the decoupage glue. And got my rice paper on there with my little koala sat in the middle. And I'm going to take a sand block, and all I'm going to do is start with the edges. So you can use sandpaper, sand block, whatever sort of, even a filing brush, like a nail file will work perfect for this. Take it to the edge, and you can see the rice paper just comes away, and you've got that really nice crisp edge. So I'm going to go all the way around, and it does it so easily. So I've not had to cut that, use a scalpel, use any sharp objects. It's come straight off. If I just do the top, you've got a lot of paint there. Here we are, almost done.
That's such a good technique.
There we are, it just literally falls off. Yeah. So we've got Mr. Koala sat there, and I really like it as it is, to be honest. It is really nice. You could have it as a giant coaster if you wanted to, but I'm going to add some waxes to this and sort of give it a little bit of sparkle, just brighten it up a little bit.
What colour wax are you going for?
Well, I've got 2 here. I've got my bronze and I've got my white gold. What do you think? Do you think gold?
White gold.
White gold.
Yes.
Good choice.
Would you go white gold?
I would have gone white gold.
That's good then.
What are you doing?
I'm going to stencil the tree.
Oh, very nice.
I might do it a little bit of a different way to you, so I'm going to add a few more different colours in there. So I'm going to be adding the brown and using a stippling technique. Still got a little bit of the green coming through on the brush, but I don't mind that because it's adding that depth and that texture again, which is something that I like to do when I'm getting the stencils. And then as we've blend it up. We've got all the tree trunks and all the branches in there. We're going to be taking the green, again taking a little bit of the excess off, and then literally just stippling in random places. And like I said, sometimes it can look a little bit of a mess, but don't worry, because we are going to get those lovely crisp lines. And then to add a different colour, because these have got that variation in colour, I'm going to be adding some of the hybrid acrylic in pistachio green. Taking it, again taking the excess off, and then stippling in all the remaining areas. And there we go. So then when we take off the stencil, got a lovely tray.
Oh, that looks nice.
So
I love those colours in the
colours
top.
there, yeah.
That looks
So it
really
gets
good.
that idea of really crispy, crunchy leaves.
You know, it just instantly reminds me of like those pictures you see when you want to go on the safari holidays and you see all the nice trees in the background with the silhouettes of all the animals. It would be very nice.
Bit of sunshine. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab some scissors and I'm going to cut the whole way around there. How are you getting on with the wax over?
So I've actually decided to go in with a stipple brush. Now sometimes I use a sponge to add wax, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something different. And I've gone in with a stipple with my wax, and it's giving a really nice effect. So all I'm doing is I'm going straight into my pot, and I've got a little bit on the end of my brush there. You can see it just sort of sparkling around the edges, and I'm mixing it in my plate just so I've got an even coverage, and I'm going straight to the piece I'm working on. As I go from the middle and outwards, I'm just catching all of the edges with the wax. And you can probably see as I move it like that in the light, you can start to see there the wax all glimmering around the edge, which just looks so nice. It just gives that finishing touch. And this is going to be the centerpiece of the project that we're making. And I'm going to do it as well on the canvas that I've been working on, because I think that needs a little bit of gold wax around the corners. Just taking my stipple brush.
I think everything needs gold wax, doesn't it? I mean,
It really
it's a little
does.
bit better with a bit of gold wax on it.
See, I do really like the distress paste that you've been doing on the edges of your canvases, because it really frames it in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It gives you that finishing edge. And do you know what? I think I might change this to the bronze wax. We had a bit of bronze wax in there. We're going rogue. Do you know? In fact, yes, I might try that. Let's see what. We'll go with that first, and then we'll put a bit of wax on. See. Oh, thank you very much. We've got our brush already covered. Elizabeth to the rescue. So that's what we do most of the time when we're crafting with these collections. Is each one of us are doing projects and ideas, take inspiration from each other's, and sort of build our projects that way.
Looking over to David or saying, David, can you give me a hand with this? Have you got any ideas or inspiration that I can be using?
Yep, it's that's a normal day.
So I've pussy cut the trees out. How lovely do they look? And you can
Oh,
build
they're
up a little
cute.
scene, so I'm going to build them and decoupage them up so we've got one away from each other. So we've got that depth and dimension again. So we've got the shadows on there. I'm going to put this one behind because it's a little bit darker, and obviously you get the shadows on there. This one's in front because it's got the light in there, just so we've got the realness to how the trees would be when you're out into the wild. So, I think I might just dress that white down a little bit, you know.
You think? Do you want this brush? The distress
I'll
brush.
wait for the distress brush.
So I've almost done with this now, so you can see I've been working in the distress paste around the edges, and it gives a really nice shadow effect as you go around it. So I've gone all the way down the sides. I'm about to go down this side. I've done all of these sides, and it really just frames it in, doesn't it?
That, like,
Yeah.
tunnel vision sort of look into the centre.
And if you're not really an experienced painter, I mean, I've never really been a painter. I play with paint, but I don't do detail painting. And blending effects is something I'm not very strong at. And this just pretty much does it for you. You're just dragging it in and lifting your brush away, and it just fades out seamlessly.
It's just about using the hand action and manipulation, just the pressure on the brush, and it's something really easy to pick up and learn, even if you've not, like you say, you're not an expert in painting or colour blending. It's just something really easy to pick up along the way.
So I think we're starting to see.
Can I have the brush?
You can have the brush, would you? Sharing the tools. So what are you doing then? Are you dragging it through the trees?
I think the white just looks a little bit stark against the black crackle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really lightly just tone it down a little bit, just so it's not as stark through against onto the black. It's just going to tone down that white a little bit, just so we've got a little bit more shadow on there, because I just feel like that's the first thing you'll look at. And I think that's one of the main things, that's a key fact when you're planning out projects. You need to know what's going to stand out, what you want in the foreground, what you want in the background. Getting that light on there, using the light and dark, and just having a little bit of a plan, but not too behind, because the best canvases happen.
Mine are very much, what would I call them, improv,
Yes.
or sort of spontaneous, that's the word. And we'll just see how it goes, really. I'm deciding to cut up the koala, which sounds horrible, but I'm actually just using my scissors to cut around some rice paper that I've backed onto card to give me a bit of strength in my paper. And he's, look at that, he's a cute little guy.
Oh, I love that little koala bit. I tried not to put him on every project, so it was like my go-to little fussy cut thing to put on. I was like, you can't put the koala bear on everything, is there?
Oh, I just love him. I just think he looks so cute. And there's so many designs in these papers as well. So all the collection together, working harmoniously together, they just all have such a story to tell. So I'm cutting him out. I could leave the leaves off, but I'm going to decide to keep his little twig of bamboo there that he's holding on to. How's your distressing coming? They look really nice. No, I like them like that. I like the white in the middle, it pops through and you can see the colour separation between the leaves.
Brilliant. Right, so I'm going to take some foam tape and stick them down. I'm just going to add a little bit of shape into the leaves just so they're not flat, so we've got a more realistic view. And then foam tape.
God, my hands are starting to look a mess. I'm covered in... I must have used probably... I could count the products I've used on one hand and I think I've already got every other colour in the collection on me. It just happens.
I'm constantly just covered in new paints or ink sprays. I usually get ink sprays all over me.
So you go to the Create and Craft website as well to check out on the collection and see what the Cadence goodies as well you can see, as we've got tons of stuff on there. We've got absolutely such a massive variety to choose from. So here I have got my little koala. He's all cut out, little cute guy. And what I'm going to do is very similar to Elizabeth and actually decoupage this up onto the centre of the scene that I've already created. So I'm just going to mould him around, give him a little bit of shaping just with my hands. You could use ball tools for this or any embossing tools that you've got. And this really is sort of bringing paper crafting and mixed media together because you can sort of combine the both. And I love to make cards. This is sort of beginning to look inspired by a greeting card.
You
but
can make this collection easy though into cards.
Exactly, yeah, there's so much.
That square on the front you've got is the front of a card.
Yeah,
card blank.
precisely. So there really is so much you can do with it. So I've got a little bit of foam tape here.
Do you need any more? Are you good?
I think I've stocked up a little bit for now. Got my reserves, and I'm going to take some of this and put them just here and here, and this will just give them a bit of dimension.
Yeah, I think I've done.
You think you've done?
Yes.
Right, I need to catch up.
So I stuck the trees onto there. Like I say, we've got one in the background, one in the foreground. This one's a little bit darker, and this one's a little bit lighter. We've got, you see it's 3D. You can see it in there. Look at that. How cool is that? And then you've got the texture,
so nice.
You've got crackle, you've got the leaves. So we're really into that into the wild sort of texture look, which I think, do you think that's done?
I love that, that's lovely. And you could have that, you could put that in a frame, you could have it anywhere, or you could even turn it into a gift. Yeah. It could be anything really.
A card front again.
Yeah, definitely.
As a greeting card. Someone you've not seen in a while.
It's really cute.
Yes.
So
very happy with that.
I'm pretty much almost there now. All I'm going to do is layer up my MDF. So I've put this square, which you could use card for this. There's no reason why you'd have to use MDF. You could use a piece of card, mount board, anything that you've got in your stash. And I'm taking, move my rice paper, and I'm taking it just onto a piece of black card, and I'm going to mount it just on the top of there and give it sort of a shadow framing.
I think that's such a good technique to give it a shadow framing.
Yeah.
It's going to tie in with the background.
Exactly.
Distress paste on there as well. It's going to look great.
And I'm taking my Kit & Caboodle glue gun, and this one's brilliant. It's cordless. I can move it around absolutely everywhere on my project, not be restricted by the cables. And taking some hot glue, and what I've done is I've just got some pieces of card, and I've cut them in weird little shapes. And they're quite peculiar. You're probably thinking, what are these? But I'm just going to have them as risers to sort of actually have this piece standing away from the canvas.
I think that's such a good technique, because sometimes foam tape doesn't always give you that lift that you're actually needing, but with the making like the little stills, you can
Exactly,
really
yeah.
extend your
So that's it really. It's just putting it so that it can have, and you could put lights behind it as well to give it like a shadow.
brilliant.
It looked really nice, because obviously all these collections, you can really interpret it to whatever you want, whether it's home decor or whether it's really just something you want to craft with. So we're going to see what he looks like. So he stands away just like that. So we've got a bit of 3D going on. And if I just add a little bit of hot glue just to the tips of these here. There we are. Just like that, only just a really small amount. It's going to stick straight away. And we'll get that central. Press that down, hold it just in place for it to dry. It's really quick drying the kit and caboodle glue sticks. And here we are.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Got my little koala in there. I love that. I'm quite happy with that. And as well, if this was at night time, I put lights behind it. It'd give it a shadowing effect around the edge. It looked really nice. And you could, like I say, you could frame it. Yeah, for a kid's bedroom or something like that. There's so much in here, and it's really on trend at the minute. Jungle themes, tribal themes.
Having all like them palm leaves and the cheese plant leaves. It's something that's in all the shops at the minute, and you can create that look so easy on
Exactly.
all your interiors.
Well, we all want to go to shops, but now we can make stuff instead of having to go to the shops.
Exactly. So you could be on trend without even having to leave your home.
So check out this collection on Create and Craft website. There's so much to choose from. There's amazing variety on there as well. So there's absolutely tons to look at, and have a play with it, have fun like we have. And if there's anything as well you want to ask us, any tips or any hints or anything that you don't know about the products, or anything about Cadence or previous collections.
Yes, make sure you ask lots of questions. We'll answer them all.
Yeah.
We love hearing from other people.
Exactly.
Seeing what they do with products as well. Let's see your products with Into the Wild, or any mixed media products that you've been working on during lockdown. Any crafty products or tips you've got for us.
Yeah.
That would be great to see as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed it, give us a like and follow us.
Yep. Thank you ever so much for watching, everyone.
Thank you.